Conversations with Sandra, the podcast, welcomes Gina Jay. She's an author of, let's see, it's called Embracing the Mirror. So, you know, let's have some fun today. Let's have some fun today. As soon as she comes in, we're going to have a wonderful time. We're going to talk about all things that we can talk about spirituality, about our gifts and our uh, our gifts, talents, and our trials and tribulations, our wins, our our losses. You know, that's all part of the human experience. And the higher polarities and lower polarities were given to us to create from. We decide how long we want to stay in it. We really did. So I see that she is here now. Let's wait for her to request. And as soon as she requests, I'll let her in so we can get started. Like I said, she's the author of Embracing the Mirror. You can get it on Amazon. You can also go to her page and find out where else it can be purchased at. I'm not giving her a plug, but I am giving her a plug. Know that she is not paying me for the plug. She is just my guest. So let's see. It does say she's joined. Abundance, all, and those to come. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's view. Might muffle a little. Be patient. All right. I'm so excited. I just can't hide it.
Oh, let me get this moved out forward.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah. Let's make sure that my volume is up.
Can you
Hello,
hear?
everyone. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Great.
Okay. Blessings all, abundance all on this beautiful new day. Thank you, Sister Sandra, for having me. And I'm just so much gratitude in my spirit to share in this soul conversation with you. And I am
Well,
grateful. Thank
I'm
you for this platform.
thank you for your platform. Thank you for your lives. Thank you. You know what got me the moment that I said I had to have a talk with this beautiful goddess is the moment that you said that spiritually you were how did you say it? I'm going to just paraphrase it, that you were tired of hearing everybody talk about uh, being prejudiced and racism, right? And I have been trying to say that without, here's where my ego comes in, to try to say it without hurting people. You know, I mean, I understand the form of it because we're body, mind, and spirit, and I understand that. I am beginning to understand even more and more that we can embody all parts of us, but if we don't want racism of any kind, we have to stop embracing it. And you were the first one that I actually heard say that same thing. And I said, oh, I've got to have her on because I want to hear more. Do you mind if we start with that question?
Not at all. Um, in question format. So to answer it, for me, being a mixed race child, and being able to go through the experiences of feeling maybe not adequate enough for either side, but in my own being, having to establish who I was as this whole from these sources of creation. And yes, it's a journey. It's a journey to have to establish yourself in a world that is baiting you on race. So in this space, I just kept saying, I live on this grace for space because we don't know. For me and blood, it's bigger. It's like, we have this blood tethering to our family. Even in space, I have to tell people, just because we have blood tethering does not mean that your family can provide you the blood you need. nor the organs you need. There becomes where the tribe, the soul, is going to have to identify what it does need, or who has what it is that you do need out there in that research that they have to do. And so it's no different than for ourselves, researching in this space to figure out what it is ourselves need to feed ourselves wholly.
Right. I mean, that's, she, show over. Just show over. Okay. Because when I was growing up, and I used to think it's how maybe I was too naive, right, when I was growing up, because my mother never gave me a platform for prejudice. She never told me not to do something or to do something to a person because of their color, right? So I grew up having a wide array of friends that were all colors, all ethnicities, and I grew up around a lot of white friends, right? Because I grew up in the essence of how the neighborhood changed. So I got a chance to be. I didn't think of color. I didn't think of myself being black. I didn't think of anybody being white or Hispanic, or I didn't think that way. So when I went to school, it was about the person, right? And when I started to kind of sort of like boys, that's a whole different discussion for another day. It didn't. I think my mother was very surprised at when in my 20s I married a black man, right? Because I just had an array of, she called me her little international baby, her little, UN baby, right? Because I was just, yeah.
You reflect the radiant red that is of all. Yes.
Yeah.
You have a,
So, yeah.
it's your international baby.
Yeah, I definitely was. I didn't think I could be in a room of, I see, I even struggle with the terminology of white people versus Caucasian people versus whatever, right? So you see, it's like, okay, trying to be politically correct when I just want to be, and never think a thing about it until I got into my latter year of junior high school. And then fear was introduced, not by my mother, but just by living life, right?
Experience.
Because I believe now prejudice is just a fear-based polarity. And it wasn't introduced to me until my latter year of junior high school, where there was the, this against that, whites against blacks, blacks against whatever. And what I noticed is I had a lot of friends who were of mixed race, primarily white and black. And what astounded me was that we were telling, or society, or whoever society was at that time, were telling them they had to make a choice between their parents. And I remember asking my mom, and I think I was 10th grade, maybe my early high school, that embarking on, still knowing, hey, this ain't right, right? That how could you make a choice? And then now, this moment right now, knowing that, oh, that's a lower polarity, that once we know it's a polarity, once we know it's an energy, we can and we know that we're the creator, right? We can either change it or stay with it. And right now, how do you feel about, not how do you feel, how do you, and I don't like the word work, how do you play in your vibrational spirit to bring inspiring word to help change that frequency?
It's more of just it's not even more of a word, because frequency is, to me, it's tethered in energy, and so it's being like the love. It's not it's saying the love, it's showing the love, it's actually identifying in that caterance, that nurturing, that, you know, and it doesn't stop at a line. It doesn't have a stop. You know, there is no barrier here or there. You know, it's like for all. And so I just know to stay in that it's for all space. You know, even in like my friends be like, Gina, how do you call homeless people king and queen? Because they're still royal. What makes them unroyal? Your choice, your illusion of what they are makes them unroyal. And so space, they're still royal. They're just choosing in their space of how to identify themselves in their royalty, whether you're comfortable with that or not. It's not to be conformed for your thought process or your conscious state of being. However, to accept something in all of you is to accept everything in all of it. So if we're baiting, something still triggers, you know, something still like, why am I still struggling with that? So it's big to just push past it, and not in the knowledge and seeking, and it just living and doing and being, actually taking yourself outside and being the form of it, showing and identifying. Somebody can go, you know, not what someone shared with me, because sometimes we even miss we don't remember names, but we can always remember this energy. And sometimes when we meet certain energies, there's no name tethered to it. It's just an experience.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. It's just the experience.
It's
I always go back to the divine moving in, through, and as me for the experience. The divine doesn't make a right or wrong to it. We do. That's a free will gift that the divine has given us through our feelings and our emotions, to put a good or a bad or a negative or a positive to it, and then we get to discern
yeah.
from it, right? And when I used to say that a lot when I was first coming into that vibration of that, I would get a what I consider now a pushback, because
Mm-hmm.
there, you know, because when you're moving from one frequency to another in the form base, you're going to have a lot of pushback from people who are saying, oh, you're just not in your you're not, you're just like flighty, and you're not into the real
Mm-hmm.
life. You know, you want a fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Instead of a reality. And I remember when I was trying to not bypass, but I was trying to, what's the best word? Shift from the story of, well, 200 years ago we were all slaves, and I would say, well, that was a 200-year ago now moment that you're still embarking on as a journey, and you're still in embracing and embodying as a journey. When do we let go of that journey
Mm-hmm.
and have a different uh, a, a, a different vibration?
We did a live earlier with Goddess, Sister Goddess, and Trinity, and there was another sister. Can't think of her. Multi-dimension, I think is her name. Multi-dimension. So we were doing a live.
Shauna Lee.
Yes.
Yes.
So we
Okay.
clear, and I said, you know, in a space of, we think, you know, prepare the table before your enemy, right? And I expressed that what would be the ideal that, yes, prepared, that this is the statement of your table is prepared before your enemies, you eat before you dine before your enemies. But in the space, well, how would it look if you now come to the table and realize the other people on the other side were actually yourself, the enemies of yourself? So
Right.
not that you're truly seeing the people you thought were the people you created as your enemy, but it was the person in you that created this space for that energy. And so those enemies amongst the table are versions of yourself from your errors, from your, you know, not, so you're in your error across the table, but those errors are still what you have to dine before.
I love that. I truly love that. I mean, and then I can connect the dot back to my higher being sitting around a table with other higher beings, you know, in the realm of what I call absolute, or what somebody else might call heaven, the heavenly realm, right? Sitting there going, hey, I'm creating this glorious body. I don't know what her name is, but I think it might be Sandy. Who knows? But I want to play in this arena, and I want to feel some of these higher polarities, some of these lower polarities. But I know I want to feel abandonment. I want to feel what loneliness is. I want to feel all of these. Who wants to play with me? And like school kids, like we are in the physical realm on the playground, they said, "Ooh, I'll play," right? And
Mm-hmm.
so what you just said connected that dot to that when we're sitting at the table of our enemies, it's our inner selves that sought something, and now we have to sit and discern it so that it can become just the experience for the all that is and the all that is not, the one that is here and is not here, that's present in us, to say, "Oh, that was an experience, not good or bad," but kind of writing it down, keeping like a little diary,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That's
No loss. No loss. If we're here to learn, then all things are lesson. There's no losses. It's just lessons in
yeah,
this experience. There's no losses. We can take it and say it feels in this order of loss, but there's this lesson that applies before. That's where the beauty and the pain is dancing together. And it's like, imagine the tango. You see how strong the tango is and how abrupt he has to pull and move her, and she has to just go with it, but she loves the dance of the pull and the and so it's the beauty and the pain of it all. Yes, mothers know what it is to have to give birth to children, but the they also have to prepare themselves for the pain that they're going to have to go through, the changes that they will go through to be able to birth and create this beautiful experience.
yes. Kind of like it as I was helping somebody realize that tough love is the equivalent to unconditional love. There, there is at least a myriad or a plethora of mothers who have their children, whether they be men or women, on in prison or on death row. They may not like the things that they do, but I guarantee you they unconditionally love that child,
Mm-hmm.
E-
Mm-hmm.
even if they may know that they may never ever see that body form again, right?
How many documentaries do we see now where they talk? Now we get to see documentaries where they're talking to the children or the family members of the murderers or the pedophiles and still they don't okay what their family member did. It's not okay, but they still have love for them. It's still my mom, it's still my dad, it's still my grandfather, it's still, yes, what they lived in their creation, for their creation experience, was not right. Did they have power? It showed that they had some form of power, but was it righteous power?
Right,
It wasn't power. So in the space for me to know that, to live in my conscious righteousness, that it's still love invested, it's still love. There's children you have to love, whether they come in disability form or whatever. You still got to love them. You still have to love them. You can choose to rid of them, but that would be a reflection of yourself. What
right,
do you have to put away with? What were you trying to hide? What are you masking? This isn't something that child did. That is something in you now that you're masking.
right. Absolutely. It's when the, I'm trying to figure out how to make this long story short. When my ex-husband walked out, and he was just a father out of the home, of course, I was working in that form body where it was all about me and being heard and walking out and the whole kind of thing. Then there was a moment. Okay, I'm not going to say back then I knew about that quiet moment and the ego, and I knew I had a soul.
Absolutely.
I didn't know how powerful this whole story,
Absolutely.
this whole vibrational story, not just spiritual story, would be. But there was, so when he would come and visit, even before we actually physically got divorced, I went with the mouth, blah 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 blah, right? And the visit with the children would be cut short, right? There was a moment where there was a quietness, where my ego stood back for a minute, and I actually could feel my higher being giving me that moment of just look, just watch. And I went, oh, it's me. I made it about me. So I've got this story of 3 children that I've got to raise, and and the odds are I'm going to raise them singly. My ex isn't going to come back. I didn't have that in like physical notes because he was always talking about it was him, not me, and he needed a moment to come back, but he was doing other things. And started putting the story together from form, not spiritual, that, oh yeah, we were, in our 20s. What did we know about this? What did he know about being a husband? What did I know about being a wife? What did we know about raising kids? We knew a story, right?
An idea.
We had an idea. We had a perception that someone else gave us. It certainly shocked my mother, because my mother was trying to wanted me to finish college. She wanted me to get a job or get a career, even though at that point in time a career was only a secretary or a nurse or whatnot, right? But the signs were there that I could have made a different choice. But guess what? Free will choice. I made my choice. I made my bed, and I had to lie in it. I couldn't blame it on anybody else. But the one thing that was being hurt was my children having access to both their parents. So I had to step back from that perception of my story and go, okay, whenever he comes in, whenever he chooses, because he would choose to come by unannounced. Okay. And but
now
I
now
yeah
we know.
yeah now we know. But the last maybe four years, I've been working on my inner healing so that I could heal myself and forgive and have enough forgiveness for him, because now I realized I had to really sit down with that and say, well, we were 21. What did we know about that? Well, if he hadn't walked out then, I wouldn't have a son who is a composer and a rap artist. I wouldn't have and that same son grew to have family, and he's a good dad. I wouldn't have a older son who found out who he was and that it was okay to be gay, right?
Come
That to have a daughter to understand that it's okay to love her mother and father well, and it's okay for her to be daddy's little girl even though she's 40, and to have someone like me, even though I'm growing through my relationships and experiences, she gets to learn from me. There's a reason why he was in my life in the story. There's a reason why that higher being came to play him at that particular time. Yes. Right? Yes. And when you start to put all of this massive energy that's in play together, I just have to sit back and forgive me. This is the only word that's a great adjective. I just have to sit back and be fucking in awe of it all.
Yes. That's great. That's the greatness of it. Yes. Why leave out the fucking? Because it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's fucking majestic.
And to have a higher being or soul or whatever other people call that's within them, to have my higher being, my soul, be patient and have grace with me for me to figure it out, right? So the next question I've got for you, okay, I've got some questions that we need to get to.
Okay.
So for anybody just coming in, this will be in a replay, and you need to go back to the beginning because it started off with a bang. All right. So, okay, what is something? Wait a second. I'm going to backtrack.
Okay.
I would like to ask you if you can share first if you had an awakening moment.
Yes. Multiple.
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 Would you share with us your 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 story of that?
Absolutely. Um, so many awakenings. So in the space of coming into this realm, oh, the first awakening, I think a lot of people like to excuse form of trauma as awakening, but it is. It just is. It's a part of the experience, you know. And so my first awakening was 3, being smacked across the face, you know. But it was awakening to let me know, okay, oh, we here, and this is what we finna have to get ready for. And in this space, all these things that you're gonna have to prepare yourself, because it's bigger than just this. You came here. You knew what you came for. You know what you chose.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you know. People go, how could I have chosen? And because you were built that way, you chose. Your cells came together, collided, and said, "This is where we're going right now in this order." You took and raced against how many other sperms, and said, "Nah, me, I'm the marathon winner because I got a
Yeah.
mission to serve. I have a purpose right now in this now moment, and this is my time to shine." I've been up there sparring and getting everything together, gathering tools. It's go time. When we think we're not equipped for that go, it's going without knowing. A lot of it is going without knowing. We are in this space that we have really created this form of, yes, we create so many things. I explained, like I said, in the bigger realm of it all, we're still used. It's like the ants in the field. The ants in the field are still out here, and we're out here. Yeah, look at what I could do. Watch what I'm gonna do. Look, I'm gonna put this goal down. I'm gonna watch. Look at my power. Look at me now. Energy. But in reality, the union behind us, the Most High, the biggest creators of it all, this whole grand spectrum,
Right.
they're back going, psh, psh, and we're just down here thinking we're like, yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I see it, I always have to go back to give them so much, grace, because there are mountains that are moved that I had never had. I couldn't even think that I would have moved them. And in those awakening moments, and it started, like I said, first being 3, and then going through awakenings with losing family members, close family members, and having to administer tools that they administered back. And I didn't know that they were giving tools, leaving tools behind, because I wasn't ready to receive them just yet. I was just going through barrels of experiences, like this one might feel better in this. Let me see if this one's less heat. It's less hot here. Ooh, it's like going to sauna, and let me see if it's hotter in this room. It's less hot in that room. I can't manage that heat. I can't. And so you'll never have more in you than you can bear. Why? Because it was created that way.
Right.
It was created that way, no matter where it is that you are in this space. And it has nothing to do with the physical spectrum of it all. It is this burst of energy from this big theory, the bang theory of it all. We're living in the blueprint. Everything comes because how could that have happened? Because it ain't your plan. You thought
Right.
that you had so much order in this space to where you get smacked back to realize, now get your ass back in line.
Yeah. Come back in
Come
alignment.
back in
Yeah.
line. That becomes awakenings. Those are awakening times, because it's like, yeah, so guess what? Never going back there.
Yeah.
Never. What we don't do is repeat. That's why we don't repeat. If you're going to repeat something, may it be of love and winnings, but you don't go to repeat the low dimensional things that keep you in a cycle of that was structured off of the fear concept that doesn't allow you to be consciously attached and connected to the higher source. So in that space, the deeper you go, I was just doing this dance with my mom and them earlier, and I was like, how low would you go? Will you
Right.
go down low? Will you take it to the flow? Like flow? And it's like, Gina,
Yeah.
would you knock it off? And I'm like, no. How low
How
will you
low
go?
would you go? Yeah. Kind of like, and even if you go back a little bit when they were doing the limbo, right? Um, and think about that the stick as they lower it each time they lowered it as being a different uh boundary that kept us in. I know I hear everybody talking about, oh, boundary this, and you got to have your boundaries. But the divine told me, share the fact that we get stuck in our own boundaries. And The fact that we set up all these boundaries to keep other people out that trigger us or activate us or whatever the label is that you want to call that energy, but we get stuck in our boundaries because we don't do the work.
Absolutely. So when your yard is sacred, because I'm big about sacred yard, and when your yard is clean, it's like going to your grandma's house. And what you could do at your mama's house, you can't do at your grandma's house.
No.
You can't. It's just the rule. The mother has a different, that's mine. It came out of me. I love it a little. I leave it alone. Leave it alone. Energy, you know, it's mine. Leave it alone. And so the grandma, like, I don't care. I gave life to you. And so through you and it, and I will knock it all the way generationally back. If I got to hit her to hit you to hit, I will do it, you know. And so in the space to hold the order of sacred yard, because if you don't have that knowing of what sacredness is, some people hold strong to it's not about the boundaries are up, but the gate's always open if you're willing to come in here and participate in the sacredness of this yard. Right. The only way, we still don't put you all the way out the yard. We tell you, look, go take a break, go take a walk, go breathe. You ain't put all the way out the yard, but when you want to take and walk out the gate, that's on you to leave the sacred space. You don't want to be a part of the sacred space no longer.
Right.
But the grace in this space allows you to take a walk, take a breather, go find whatever you need to find. You're not going to get to irritate everything and cause chaos in this space. This is sacred yard. Sacred yard. So go tether it, go figure it out. There ain't nobody asking you to leave. But if you don't know how to get together, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the help from up around here.
That's right. It's like it's okay. And that's why I always say, it's one thing to come into my space. It's an alignment of energy. The energy is that we've come here to attain some wisdom, some understanding, attain some utilize unconditional love and hold space for each other. It does not mean that alignment and being in agreement are not the same thing. You don't have to agree with what everybody is saying or what books I'm reading. You just take what resonates for your highest and greatest good, for whatever's going to move your puzzle piece or your checker piece or your chess piece forward for your greatest good, and honor the fact that the energy in the room doesn't need to be judged. It doesn't need to be changed energy. It just needs to be allowed to be energy for someone else to take up that energy and use it for their highest and greatest good, right?
Yes. Remember, you know, a traveler and travelers, what travelers know, they still got to have a respect about themselves and who they are in their regard, the order of themselves.
Right.
Because you could get to a land and lose yourself.
Right.
You could get to another land, another territory, and completely lose yourself.
Yes. You come from your land of familiar that is the same all the time, that feels good, but you always know that you're missing something, or it's time to have a growth and expansive shift. And then when you get to the place that you're supposed to shift to, you turn it into your land of familiar again.
Yes. Because it becomes now you're traveling in love. And again, I tell people, when you know, as travelers, you can't take your privilege to every country. Your American privilege, it has nothing to do with race. It has shit to do with what your race is. It's American. And so when you get to another country, they look at you as gringo, American.
Yes.
It didn't say black. It didn't say Indian, yellow, China. It didn't say none of that. It just said, "Oh, you're American."
You're American.
And so in this space, will this American come in here and respect how we honor what we do? Are they coming here to corrupt and bring their corruptive narratives into this space?
Right.
Because they can be who they want to be, but you don't get to be that in our land.
Right. It's like you said, it's about going to grandma's house. It's about going to grandma's house, and grandma don't move nothing off her table. Grandma say don't touch, it means don't touch. Right.
And what follows up if you do? You know the consequences. You know the consequences. You didn't see someone else catch it. You got to witness the consequence.
Right.
Spirit even set you up to witness the consequence. Now, what was it in you to go establish to feel it yourself?
Right. Right. I'm telling you, it's about all the vibrational opportunities, that you get to filter through. Actually, it's a filter, because not filter. We have free will choice. Therefore, it's a vibrational opportunity that we get to make a discernment about, and make a
Yes.
choice through the discernment. Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So let's move to the question. Now that we've got that background, what is something you used to believe when those awakening moments hadn't happened, that now you see differently? You see, feel, and know differently.
Um, then I was the wisdom, it's experience. I was still in the birthing of experience. I was still coming through. And so in the space, it's like every day you learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
Day you learn something new. And so for every day you learn something new, but it's foresight learning for what's to come.
Right.
So in the
Yeah.
space, I realized, okay, I have to start taking in, this not for my forever life. This not my forever life.
Right.
This not how I'm going to have, I don't have to live in this law and their land and their rules and accept this version of who they say I have to be. This was in all of that awakening in the space where it got diluted was I tried to favor relationships and people please. And so in the space of, I still always had messages, but I was too fearful to share it because again, we come from the generation of children are to be seen, not heard. And so this is a big thing in these generations when, like you said, go to the back room. I don't care what you got going on. You could be trying to tell on what the adult did, but they don't want to hear that. They're not here for you to acknowledge the truth.
Yes.
I had made a comment. I'm like, if we know that children are vibrant and so innocent in energy and they can feel the source of energy, why is it that we still push our ideology of truth into their life? When they are already expressing, I don't like that person. I don't like that dog. I don't like that food. I don't like that. You gonna eat that food. That's your dog.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
go, so now you're forming them into your own concept of who you think this child should be. And sometimes the rebel come back to let you know you never let me be free. You never even asked me what made me comfortable. You never gave me a choice. And so a lot of people are going out there and experiencing this past that trauma space, and that's why I said trauma is a part of the awakening experiences. Because if you don't go back to face it, you have to go through it. You have to go through.
Right.
You can't go around it, under it, over it. You got to go through it. And that portal is that ultimate knowing, that light that shows you this your experience. This
Right.
is okay. Nothing's more than you can bear. And all these, remember for the next time, cautious to what you're choosing, cautious to observe, preserve. Observation is key. I need you to sit back because maybe you rushed too fast. You just was in your own ideal. Like I said, we do these down to doing the vision boards. I had to stop doing vision boards because it's like I might be blocking something that ultimately truly is bigger than what I could even see. I can only see me in this little pretty cute house,
Mm-hmm.
these two cars, that husband, them dogs, two kids. I could be blocking the whole complete what God truly, what the Most High is trying to give me in fullness for my wholeness
Right.
by just living in the subconscious blocks.
Right. That was another question. Is I wrote it down to make sure yeah. Here we go. Now, when you said subconscious blocks, okay, so then we know when people go through their dark night of the soul, it's their higher being escorting them into their subconscious to do some work. The conscious mind, okay, how do I want to say this? The do you feel, I mean, I know how I feel. Do you feel the conscious mind is holds on to your work in progresses? Does that make sense to say it that way?
Um,
Um,
is it so you're more
it's
more than
it's
subconscious our body?
okay. So the question is, if the do you okay, in the past, your subconscious mind holds on to things and feeds it into your consciousness, and then from that you create.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
now the stories that are in the subconscious that haven't been fed now, do you feel that you can work on them before they hit the conscious mind?
Yes,
Do you feel they show up as vibrational uh, uh, energy in your either your feeling or emotion that hasn't really presented itself as a conscious thought to create from yet,
absolutely.
right?
Yes, because I was just sharing in the space, like I always wanted to touch the thing my cousin just touched, but they took the risk and took the ass whooping. Now, am I going to want to feel that same thing from my experience and take that ass whooping?
Mhm.
If
No.
I truly, if I want to feel it, I'm going to feel it and feel it. I know what I'm going to have to in the duality of the feel because I've
Right.
already witnessed something showed me already. Like I said, spirit comes to show you. You ain't got to be in the gang because spirit going to show you the gang members. You
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be you could be if you want to. And I don't knock nobody in nothing. Do what you choose to do and be who you want to be. But in this space, know that your power has to serve its righteous regard. For you to have a fruitful life, for your life to come into the harvest that you truly are trying to envision in your creation and your full creation and your wholeness, righteous regard.
Righteous.
We all
Yeah.
have power. Does not we have to know when and how to administer the power. We all have gifts. We have to know when and how to administer those gifts. Just because we have gifts don't mean we can politic them on everybody.
Yes, I agree. I or put it this way. I am in alignment with that. Take what resonates, people. If you're not there yet, it's okay. The divine is wanting you to live your life according to your free will choices, and it is an experience. Okay.
Absolutely.
Uh, we are not here to change your mind about anything,
Mm-mm,
right? We
mm-mm.
are here to share. And I'm saying this because the divine has told me someone has come in here with very heavy duty um, uh, informational uh, that they don't want to let go of, but they're struggling right now. Just surrender the struggle and just listen. We aren't here to change you. Change is going to happen anyway. That's the only promise that the divine has given us, is that change is gonna
It
happen.
is. It
Okay.
is. It is.
So the next question is, us interpreting. Okay, because you mentioned our gifts, our gifts and talents. I have a new. It's not a podcast. It's actually just a little 45-minute talk show that the divine has. I keep putting it on the back burner, Gina, and the divine keeps putting it on the front burner. So I just went, done. I'm not resisting it anymore. So
Surrender.
it's called Soul Talk with Sandy M. Right? It's going to be live streaming on Saturday, on 2 Saturdays a month. It's going to be live streaming on Instagram and YouTube,
Okay.
right? And it's
Okay.
a new embarkment. Nothing, I know nothing about doing this, but the divine says, I got you. And the difference between this podcast and that is the divine said, I want people to start speaking about their spiritual gifts and how they use it in their real life moments, how they used it to serve. And it's not just about serving the collective. It's about going out and being the light that shines into the world, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
said, okay. I just humbly I went, okay. Are you sure I'm? And the divine just cut me off. I know you're ready. Stop asking me that, right? But I'm going to ask you this now. With your spiritual gifts, your spirit, your talents, your skills, and most of the skills we get even before we realize we have an awakening moment, even before we realize that we're tuned in, tapped on, and turned into the divine that's moving through us. How did it feel starting to wake up to these gifts being unwrapped, being uh, fine-tuned, and then having to take them not just to our our spiritual community, but out into
Ooh.
the world?
Again, I had to, and the biggest thing was releasing from people pleasing. It
Uh,
wasn't about, I had to stop serving. Yes, I'm in service. I'm always in service to my brothers and sisters, but I had to learn to serve me first in this order. The order had to come to me. And instead, not even just serving me first, I put most high before me, the union, the you and I, mother and father. And I put them in that Trinity, that whole go Trinity in the building, that Trinity, put them in and involved myself as their child in this union, so that I am now listening and taking heed to, because if we light speeds behind through that sun, it's already done. It's already done. I just need to choose righteously so. I
yes.
just need to choose righteously so. And so in taking it and ministering, like you said, I don't know if I said in another live or this live, but being the act, being what this is, not just saying it, not saying love you, showing love, actually showing up and being the form of what love looks like, not just the vocal sound, because we hear it through sound, frequency, on everything, TVs, media, music. But do you actually get some type of feeling? And the feeling might come from a memory, because the body is of water, is memory. So we might have this memory that's running through us, this flow of memory that's gushing through us from someone that did bring this experience, from that love factor, from that, oh, when you think of light, or light language, you go, oh, Sandra, like,
Yeah.
when you hear certain keys, and those are keys, when little keys get pressed, you're like, your memory banks go to the person that is in that light space, that's holding that light space. And so it's like, da, da, da. Yep, I understand. You know what? And it's because it comes prior. It's coming from the prior. It's not something that, oh, I'm waiting to administer and using to establish to how to use my gifts. It's already given. When I start learning to love in all of me and my wholeness of me, I can't love anything else if I can't love all me. I can't. Impossible. It's truly it's impossible. If I cannot truly, genuinely love the bout of everything I am in my wholeness and the abounding law that they created me in, and I know that I came to choose to stand down in, I chose to stand in this and do this. I chose to peek through the dirt and say, yeah, what's up? I'm a flower. What's happening? You know,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I chose it, whether it was in concrete, whether it was in the jungle, wherever it was laid. I chose to rise up to the occasion and show, yeah, what's up? We out here.
Yeah.
And so in this space, I honor those gifts the same way, just to show, yes, we're out here. We're not hidden, but in love and light. It doesn't have to come conflicted with the form of triggers and, or trauma bonding, or in that space. No, I'm still abounded to how I move in my law of me.
Right.
Praise my sacred yard. And anything that comes into it is a whole vibration. But I have to be so vibrant that I attract that same thing. And do I know that other things come? Well, then I have to sit back with me and start observing, was that a thing, or was that a thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Or was that in all caps, was that a thing? And okay, where do I go in this next now moment with that thing, right? Who do I want to be, right? It's like it's like all the vibration of all the glory of all the divine that is and not is just reverberates.
Yes. Yes. So in the space, I know to honor in my gifts, like we don't have, just because we have power doesn't mean we have the right. And it's kind of like an invitation too. So it's like, I tell people I don't get cleaned up to titles either and changing names and all that. I really don't move on that frequency, because what I've learned is in experience, people going to name me what they know me as in that space. They might, I've been known to be called a bitch. Hey, I showed up as a bitch to somebody one day. I did.
Yeah. Because you showed up to somebody as a bitch one day because that was how they were seeing themselves. And you
So I
had
showed up
to be their reflection. To show,
reflection.
yeah.
Yeah, so in that space, I overstand if, and then also, in titles, it's like if somebody was choking and I had to get down and give somebody CPR or help, be the head, like spirit just led me and said, you got it, go in there, pump it out their chest real quick. And I don't know what just like you said right now with podcasts, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna follow what the spirit told me to do.
Me to do.
So I'm
Yeah.
follow. I'm gonna go without knowing. I don't know nothing about Heimlich maneuver, but here we go. What the spirit is guiding me through all of it. And so in this space now, they're like, you're a hero. I ain't no hero. But to someone else's experience, who do you get to say you're not? They get to say you are, because in that spirit, that collision of that union and that experience, it's to be shared, right? Everything's in share. So they get to say in that title exactly what they've experienced through that whole, whether we want to say it's just through them. No, we show up as us too. And so in the space, if I'm showing up as in the ladder of love, then that's all they could truly experience. And they could get irritated by it, because why? That motherfucker always happy. That motherfucker always smiling.
Yeah.
Ain't
When
nothing
I was a kid,
wrong.
that's what they told my mother. They said,
Everything
could
is
you
abundant.
tone her down?
Yeah, your day just so with grace and so abundant. Oh, every day.
Yeah. It's like, Miss Marshall, could you tone? She's too happy. She's too happy. And to them, in my happiness, I was a talker. So I interrupted class. I giggled at things while I was, listening to the lessons, or while I was doodling on my paper, I would have a little giggle fest, or whatnot. But they would always tell my mom, she's too happy. Could you tone her down? And my mother just kind of look at them. Okay. And then go home and they go, Sandy, what were you happy about today? And I was saying, I don't know. Something inside me just made me giggle. I don't know what I was thinking about. Go back 8 hours or 6 hours during the day. I don't know. Something made me happy. I giggle or I talk. And my mom, she wouldn't tell me to stop.
No, because you're now blocking somebody else needed the energy of laughter, smile. That in that room, somebody needed to look over and go, oh, Sandra always smiling. That brings them a smile. You know how you walk past and like co-workers per se, you don't know them for their life and everything, but you know that when you go by that person every morning, they're going to be like, good morning, and they're the same energy every vibrant day. So if you need a pickup, you walking by line 9 just to go get your grand good morning, what, I'm gonna go grand this out this person, let me go get filled up real quick. Yes, that's what I pulled up for. This is what I pulled up for. So in the space of recognition, you could either pull up to that, or you could pull up to the other line number 6, line 6, and they over there. They think we finna. They got us messed up. Or you can move over to the line that shows you all that favor, that encourages you to stand in who you are and your abundant being, and not have to negotiate with anything outside of your being.
Right.
Not negotiate.
And imagine if we taught our children that they didn't have to negotiating being happy, because they were born happiness. They just were born happiness. They don't have to go seek happiness outside of themselves, because they were born with every gift imaginable in them. And
how innocent are they that they demand everything out of you? And not that they demand, Because the spirit's just like, oh, little booty, oh, I'm gonna take care of you. Want a cookie? You want to? Don't matter where you take the child, right? The innocence in that child, the love of that child. So it's always gifted. If you realize how it's gifted, and it's the same thing. If you take that inner child into your adult essence, it doesn't stop
Yeah.
living your innocence. And so when you living in that pure walk, in that innocence walk, all this stuff become gifted to you. You get gifts from above. You get gifts from in the physical. You see all that gifting that comes back to you tenfold. We multipliers, right? So when it come back, they know they giving it to you because you're going to multiply it.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. All energy wants to do is multiply itself. All energy he is here to do is be in service. And energy in your life is waiting for a command. Look at it as Aladdin and the you want an analogy, look at it, Aladdin and the seven thieves or whatnot, and then he found the genie. But look at it this way: he found the genie, and the genie said, the first thing the genie said was, your wish is my command. Second thing the genie said is, you got 3 wishes. Third thing was, then the genie put conditions on it. All right. But here you are with a divine, a divine creator moving in, through, and as you, as your genie, and said, infinite possibilities. Number one, first, I am your genie. What's your wish is my command. That's what the divine said. Second, infinite possibilities are at your door. And the third thing is, change will always happen. So you can always change what you wish for. If it doesn't serve you any longer, you can change it.
Come on.
Holy shit.
Is those your wishes? Because then your wishes are the command.
It's on the command.
Even in the innocence of a child can't even give you. We up here arguing about language, but when a child break tongue, everybody like, oh, child needs something. What you think it need? Everybody coming with something. You think it want this? You think it want this? You think it want this? You think it? Yeah, I think it wants to be walked around. I think it wants to be. I don't know. But until that child finds, until you get me where I'm supposed to be, then I'll let you know I'm comfortable.
Right. To you, yeah, kind of like just walk through it. I mean, now that I've been doing my light language, and just sitting at the seat of my soul, understanding light language, understanding it, and standing over it, right? Given that position to stand over it and understand it, not be under it anymore. I finally understand, understand, and overstand that when babies are born, they're in their light language. They're in their light language. Yep. It's sometimes they're talking to your guardian angels, not just theirs. And I'm just like, ooh, no, it's ooh, right?
I've said a message to people through baby talk, and they're like, did you just say? They know they ain't put no word. They ain't even said mama, daddy yet. But they didn't said something already to give them a message, because spirit talk to whatever, through whoever, however, whenever, but in innocent form to send this message. Many people, like I said, the strike on you is when you're not delivering from the purest intention, when you're not moving in the righteous regard, when you're not really honoring how your power is truly regarded,
right?
How you truly are energized every day. And if you're not regarding it, then yes, you're going to feel stripped. You're going to feel low vibrational. You're going to feel, yes, this is going to be these things. It's not something nobody wants for nobody. I don't want that for nobody. I'm so in love with everything and everybody. I want them to see that this is love and this is what it looked like. And how can I operate in this form to be like, just like that? It is not to be the love. Love is. What is love to you? This is love. Come here. Let me show you. Come here. Come here. What you need? What you need? This is love. You need what you need. Ear. What you need? There's some things I have boundaries that I can't give, because we all come with, like you said, the genie said, hey, we got some restrictions. So there's some things I can't give you in boundary and respect to who I am to hold down, to be able to keep administering and overflowing with this love. Right. The moment that I cross them boundaries, and I might end up getting sucked dry, or some, you know what I'm saying, poking a hole in myself to try to fill other things up that ain't had no business being filled up.
Mm-hmm.
So now
Right.
I'm leaking out them leaky guts.
Right. Hold on. I saw, I'm just going to move back just, motherhood taught me how to listen. We can hear things in silence. Definitely. You know what I learned from my mother? And then it took me a minute, because when I became a mother, then I really understood it. That my mother had 5 children in this order: boy, girl, me, boy, girl, right? So she had five children. She divorced and she became a single mother. And she met each of her children where they were at. Their gifts, their talents, their qualities, their learning curve. She I just realized that she stepped out of a box that had all these, well, once you have the first child, then everything makes sense. But for her, everything, one child was totally different than the other.
Yeah.
It wasn't because one was a boy and one was a girl. She met each of them at where they needed to be.
Absolutely.
Right.
One
And
might in the egg, one might like breast milk, one might like, you know, like, according to each experience and each child, everything is individual in this creation space. You can't keep running your ideology on everything. You got to let it grow up to be exactly what it's going to be. Just know you need to nurture it, no matter how that look. Nurture it, because look, many mothers, look, we could be mad at gang members, but there's mothers that birthed them.
That, yeah, absolutely true. Each one of my children, they went through their, I would have to say, there are those that look at all, that stay on the point of looking at everything negative that happened in the life of them raising their children, and that's okay. Right. And the reason why I'm going to say that that's okay is because the divine says this is an experience, only an experience, no good or bad to it. Right. So if you want to see all the negative that it took for you to raise your kids, and you want to focus on that, then when the karma comes, and I'm going to use this word as karma because I'm going to use it this way. I heard Michael Beckwith explain karma a really good way that vibrated with me. Karma is a drop-off point for each and every person. It's not a bully. It's not going to stand and fight for you, and it's not going to do a dirty to someone else who did a dirty to you. Karma is about life coming back around to you, and you finding out, well, who am I going to